Now let's talk about your attorney. The first thing you need to do is find out if your court order complies with the law. Take a look at your separation agreement. The issue of your pension, did they get you to agree to stuff that the court can't order? Like where it costs you money in reducing your how much you would get because you have to pay for your ex-spouse to continue to get your pension after your death? That's not required. Or they get a bigger share than they're entitled to under the law? Well, not the way the Court of Appeals has ruled, but as the statute. As I documented, look at the tape on state pensioners, the Majuskas formula. That shows you how they're screwing people that receive pensions out of their money in divorce actions. Child support. Does your child support order comply with the law? I would say a vast majority, more than 50% from what I've seen, do not comply. Well, where's your attorney in that? Why didn't he tell you it doesn't comply? That's what you paid him for. What about the agreements where they go off the record and all of a sudden what you thought was in there isn't in there? As I stated in planning for court, don't agree to anything on the record. And especially if they're going off the record. You want all discussions on the record. He should know that as an attorney. Did your attorney sell you out? If you were sentenced to jail, well, you had a public defender, which a lot of fathers have who do nothing. Or you paid the attorney. If you're in jail and the courtroom was closed during the testimony and stuff, that's illegal. Where was your attorney? If you had a support magistrate or hearing examiner that determined you were guilty and should go to jail, they're in violation of the state constitution. Why doesn't your attorney raise that issue? I know, it's a procedural thing going. It isn't procedural. I've already gone through that. Your rights are being violated by your attorney. You pay them, or they have been appointed to protect your rights. It's like Michael Catafimo refused to make an argument that I was entitled to a public trial, even though the statute states that it's, at that time, it stated that in order to close it, they had to go through the procedure. Meaning, if they didn't go through the procedure and it was one of the issues they listed, it was required to be open. And then you have Judge Kaye and Judge Lippman both holding that the family court is now open in '97, knowing full well that was a total lie. But why aren't they protecting your rights? It's like if you're charged with the father in Schenectady. They wanted an order of protection against him because supposedly he called his ex-wife some nasty names. Well, nasty names are not illegal. I go through that on another tape. They wouldn't. His attorney goes, there was 2 case statutes. One was Court of Appeals ruling. They clearly held that is not a violation of the law. It's called free speech. But yet he wouldn't argue that to the judge. Is that your attorney? Before you go to the attorneys, you have to find out what they did and whether it violated the law. Whether they were conspiring with the judges. Like in Peter's case. He's paying child support, but he's not getting any child support from the mother for the child that's residing with him. His attorney, the judge, and her attorney literally screwed him out of almost $60,000 in child support. That's fraud. After you find out, call your attorneys up and tell them you want your money back. You're entitled to it. They didn't do their job. But you have to know what your rights are. You got to know what your options are, and you got to know whether these court orders and stuff comply with the law or not. Find out. But in the meantime, call the courts and ask them, starting February 2nd, why the courtrooms are closed, why you're being deprived of your constitutional right to trial, to a jury trial. Whether there's a court of proper jurisdiction. Do you have a separation agreement? They have no right to hear it. That's by a court of appeals ruling. The law hasn't been changed since the Kayla versus Kayla. So find out as much as you can and know what you're talking about. You have to know how to address the issues. It doesn't help you making allegations that you can't back up. You have to be documented. Learn as much as you can. Exercise your constitutional right to free speech. These judges and these attorneys need to be held accountable. And if these judges, if these court orders don't comply, call Cuomo's office. Call the New York State Attorney General's office and tell them you want criminal charges brought against them. They're issuing false certificates, official misconduct. They're involved in larceny of one stage or another. Most of the time, it's larceny in the second degree because you don't need a dollar amount because they're threatening you if you don't pay it, you lose your driver's license. Has your license been illegally taken from you? That's another question. They don't comply with the state statute as to what they have to do before they can suspend it. A lot of times they're suspending licenses when they legally can't. In other words, if you have an income deduction order, they can't suspend your license. If your income is below the self-support reserve, they can't, or poverty level, they can't suspend your license. These are things you need to know. They're all on my website. Take a look, learn as much as you possibly can. All supporting documentation for my videos can be found at www.justicefornewyork.com.